How you doing? Nathan Carr here from the home of Caribbean football. I'm back on Regular Boys Commentary to review the 2017 Caribbean Cup second round qualifiers, which took place on the 1st, 4th and 7th of June. So I'm going to be going through the games that have taken place, any surprises, any shocks, teams that did well, players that caught the eye, and then looking towards the third round and going through the potential groupings. So Group 1 was Puerto Rico, Antigua and Barbuda and Grenada. Puerto Rico took first in this group, claiming maximum points, opened up against Grenada, and it was not looking good for them, not looking good at all in the first half. They were 3-0 down until Hector Ramos got a double. Ortiz then added one late on, and they went on to win 4-3 on penalties, which was, a very impressive result given the context of the game. They did not start well, but they fought back, showed good character, and then they went on to beat Antigua and Barbuda 2-1 in extra time. So 6 points on the board for them. They're making solid progress. I think, playing recent friendlies, against the USA and Canada as well last year, I think that's helped their progress, and the fact that they've got players like Jeremy Hall and Manolo Sanchez, players with USA pedigree, professionals that have come in and really boosted the team. So they finished first. Antigua and Barbuda won just the one out of their two games. A 5-1 thrashing of Grenada. They're through. It's not known yet what group exactly they're going to be in the next round, but they have done enough to get through. It was good to see Dexter Blackstock back in the team. He's sort of been plagued by injuries a little bit of late, but he is back in the team and he got on the score sheet against Puerto Rico. Antigua and Barbuda, there has been some unrest. If you watch my preview videos, I did talk about that. The locals haven't been completely satisfied, but the main thing for them really was just to get to the next round, and they've been able to do that. Grenada, there's a lot of disappointed Grenadian fans. When they were 3-0 up against Puerto Rico, things were looking very, very good, but I think I saw someone say on Twitter it was the worst performance from a management team that they've ever seen. They just completely capitulated, lost their focus, lost their discipline, and ultimately come away with 0 points, which was, I didn't think Grenada were going to progress, but the manner in which they went down in both games is slightly concerning. I still think that they could have done with some overseas experience, but that wasn't to be. It was a largely a domestic-based group. Probably Jamal Ray Charles was headlining from W Connection in Trinidad and Tobago, and then Shavon John Brown is a hot prospect, plays collegiate soccer in the USA. I suppose he was a bright spark for them, but they're going to have to go back to the drawing board now, I think, Grenada, and look towards 2019 Caribbean Cup qualification. So that was Group 1. I did predict Puerto Rico and Antigua and Barbuda to go through, and that's what happened. So I look forward to seeing how they do in the next round. Group 2, Martinique, Guadeloupe and Dominica. So Martinique are in very good form at the moment. They called up a strong squad. Two newcomers, Johan Ordell and Bruno Grugi. Now they were called up. They were born in France, but are able to represent Martinique through their heritage. And both of them got on the score sheet in Martinique's 4-0 win over Dominica in their final Group 2 game. 6 points for Martinique. They won Group 2. Played very, very well. And as I say, got a good team. In the opener, it was the battle between the two French overseas departments, Martinique and Guadeloupe. Jean-Sylvain Babin, who plays for Granada in La Liga, that's just a little taster of the quality they've got in their squad. He scored in that game. They're looking good shape heading into the next round. they weren't really given much of a competition. Guadeloupe did manage to win against Dominica, but it's not certain on their third round status at the moment, because I'll talk about this in a little bit more depth later on. As I said before, the 4 best runners-up go through to the next round, and Guadeloupe at the moment are ranked at the bottom. However, there is a withstanding game which could directly affect whether they go through or not. Dominica, I remember saying in my preview, I thought that Martinique and Guadeloupe would have a bit too much for them, and that proved the case. They gave Guadeloupe a decent game, but ultimately outplayed by Martinique. And I think the fact that their squad doesn't boast many overseas-based professionals, and they do rely on sort of the same group of players a fair bit. So similar to Grenada, really, they'll be looking to the next 2 years for the next cycle to prepare for that. But I did predict Martinique to finish first and Guadeloupe to finish second, and I think a lot of people would have predicted that. Group 3, Curacao, Guyana and US Virgin Islands. Curacao come away from this second round qualification as the best performing team. Scored 12, conceded 2. Very, very good. They look like an actual team now, because, as I was saying before, they recruited with manager Patrick Kluivert. They recruited a lot of randomly assembled players from all over the world. They didn't have much cohesion. They weren't gelling that much in the previous round. Remember, they actually lost to Barbados. Only got to this round through goal difference. They upped the ante a lot, and they now look like they're playing with a bit more familiarity. Against Guyana in the opener, they played a 3-5-2, and that seemed to work okay. 1-5-2. And then they're expected to beat US Virgin Islands convincingly, 7-0 in the end. Patrick Kluivert's doing a really, really good job. I do believe that he has officially left now his post. He did say he was going to leave after that 7th of June game against USVI. I believe that he's going to go to one of the Ajax youth teams, and he's really got his mind focused on a top European job, I think. So Curacao are going to have to try and find a replacement for him. It's been rumoured that they've been speaking to Frank Rijkaard, but the former Dutch midfielder. But we'll see how that materialises and if anything comes of that. So Curacao finished first with 6 points. Guyana, mixed bag really. Obviously lost to Curacao, and then heavily beat US Virgin Islands 7-0. Two things really that sort of held Guyana back. The fact that they were playing both of their games away. They had to play Curacao in Curacao and USVI in USVI. That's because their pitch is cricket orientated. So the CFU did not allow them to use that as it wasn't deemed appropriate as a venue. And I think that did play a role in the Curacao game, with not many Guyanese fans there. And then also they missed the likes of Neil Dans, Matthew Briggs. Neil Dans was on a family holiday which he booked way in advance. Matthew Briggs, his wife or partner, I think had a baby, so he understandably stayed back in the UK. And then Jake Newton, who had been on a hiatus really from the national programme, he was called back in. He's a defender, English born. However, he had an invalid passport, so I'm told. So he was not able to play in any of the games or travel to Curacao or USVI. So that was a shame. But Guyana, in the end, they did enough. They are definitely assured a place in the third round. But as I said before, they're not absolutely sure yet on the groups for the third round. USVI. Conceded 14, didn't manage to register a goal. On paper, they're nowhere near Guyana and Curacao. I don't think football is the number one sport there in the USVI. They are trying to put in some foundations at the youth level. I think I wrote a piece actually not too long ago on a youth soccer club in USVI in St. Croix and on one of the islands, and how they're trying to get more youngsters involved. But it's going to be a slow process, and their national team isn't really at the top level within the CFU yet. So yeah, unfortunately for them, they finished last. And you know, they've got to try and take some positives if they can from try and learn from those two defeats. So that's a recap of the first three groups. In the next video, I'm going to be recapping groups 4 and 5, and then looking ahead to the third round.